And we are live. Good evening. My name is Heidi Oropesa with Florida You Judge, and I have Candy Lowe with me. And I just wanted to bring her on a little early, a couple of minutes before Dan Parri, who is my guest this evening. I am going to be also joined by April Griffin. We're going to talk to him about an article. The New York Times did a write up on him today. It was published today. It's called "In a Swing County in a Swing State." The verdict is in it. It's going to be close. So he'll be on in a couple of minutes. But thank you, Candy, for coming on a couple of minutes before, because I attended your event. You had to get out the vote event this Saturday, and I was doing a broadcast in the morning with Michelle Williams, incredible community activist, a good friend of ours. And as soon as we ended the broadcast, she says, "I gotta head out to Candy Lowe's Get Out the Vote event." And so, you know what? As soon as she said that, I said, "I gotta go." So I jumped in the car, told my mom, "Let's go. We're gonna go to Candy Lowe's event." And so it was amazing. It was the first time I've been in a long time saying that I was going to attend one of your teen conversations. Throughout this pandemic, you know how it's been. It's been a little bit challenging. But you know what? This Saturday, I said, I'm going to go. I'm going to go and I'm going to check this out. And let me tell you something, that it was amazing. It was an amazing thing. I can't wait to the next one. It was so, the vibage at your event was God. I called it. I talked to you earlier today. It was like God was present. It was a beautiful thing. There were so many people there of all walks of life, all stripes, colors, and it was just such a good vibage. Everybody coming together.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much, Haiti, for having me on again with you on your show, Florida You Judge. And I have to say this first, is Haiti, the last several months, you have really made a big difference, impact, encouraging people to get out to vote and making sure that we know the candidates. A lot of people didn't know the candidates. In this cycle, they were able to get to know them a little more closer, get an eye on them, so to speak. So I want to thank you again for uh, putting this platform together so that we are more informed about who we are voting for.
Yeah.
And thank you. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, and thank you to Michelle Williams for always. Michelle Williams has been coming to Tea and Conversation for, I don't know, 10, 12, 14 years, a long, long time. And I truly appreciate her as well. On Saturday, All Out Praise, Get Out to Vote was amazing. Sponsored by Equal Ground. It was over at Al's Finger Licking Good Soul Food Restaurant. And we had a number of praise and worship.
It was amazing.
Get Out. And WTMP broadcasted live from there from 10 a.m., 10:30, all the way up until 2. Former State Representative Sean Shaw was broadcasting live. Albert Lee, BBIC, broadcast live from there. Eddie Adams, a good friend of mine, he broadcast live from there. We had a whole lot of food and just a fun day, encouraging people to get out and vote. If you had your ballots, you can go over to the library, drop them off. It was such a fun day, and it was wonderful seeing your mother.
She enjoyed it, and I'm glad that she made it out. And she enjoyed interacting with some of the candidates that you had out there. I remember a couple of weeks ago, I was talking to Michelle Williams. We were talking about that one of the commission races, Sandy Merman, Pat Kemp, and I remember making mention of, I think she hadn't been present at your tea and conversation, and I was like, wow, that's interesting. But you know what? As soon as I walked in, I was like, pleasantly surprised to see Sandy Merman at your event. She was there, and I want to give a shout out to your good friend, my good friend, Kimberly DeFalco, because I certainly do not want to put up any pictures that I should be crediting her with, because the woman is, she is amazing. She had like back to back gigs, but as soon as I walked in, I was crossing the street to enter into the venue, which is, by the way, I got to tell you, that's an amazing venue. It is so spacious, has a stage, an area where you can sit down. That's where I had my meal. Thank you for providing the food. It was delicious. But I certainly do not want to put some of these pictures that I'm about to put. She's the photographer. That's her bread and butter. That's what she does for a living. And so if you want to contact her, you're having any type of political event, any type of event, she's an amazing photographer, Kimberly DeFalco. And so she took these pictures that I am going to show now. I had the opportunity for the first time. I'm a resident of Pinellas, but I like to, as you earlier pointed out, give information to both sides of the bridge. Nadia Combs, she was Nadia Combs. I'm sorry, I mispronounced that. Very, very nice candidate. She's running for a school board seat. She approached me and mom and started a conversation. Very nice demeanor and personality. I had it was a pleasure interacting with her briefly. Here's a picture of you with Diane Hart. I can't say enough good things. My mom is like a staunch Republican, and you know it's very hard to get my mom to vote outside her party, and she loves Diane Hart, and she supports her. Diane Hart's a Democrat. She is amazing. Diane Hart is so involved. I don't even know how she gets the energy. You get the energy, Candy. You all are round the clock all the time. Since I've known you, it's very amazing how involved, how much the love that can be seen through you, Diane Hart, and with love for your community. Diane Hart, she went unopposed. That speaks volumes.
Yes, 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 yes. We had a great number of people that was there. Yes, Sandy Merman was there with us. Bill Yanger was there with us.
Oh, look at him right. That's another great shot that Kimberly Falco took with Bill Yanger, his wife, Sherry, and that adorable boy, baby boy. Who is that? Who is that? That beautiful, adorable young man, young boy. Who is that?
That's my grandson, K3.
So cute. So can he began to tell me that his ninja suit costume was made by his mother?
Yes, yes, yes. So yeah, we had a great group of people, and Haiti, on tomorrow night, we're going to have our election watch party. We had a big election watch party in 2008. We had another one in 2008, 19, 11, 12, and we're having one on tomorrow night. We also have partnered with Organized Florida for the watch party. We're gonna have that over at Al's Finger Licking Good Soul Food Restaurant. We're going to have music. We have a live DJ, lots of food. Everything is free. Just come, bring your appetite. If you've ever been to Al's Finger Licking Good Soul Food, you know Jackie feeds you very well. So we're going to have lots of food. If you want adult beverages, you have to bring that yourself. She is allowing for this special event out on the patio. We going to be outside. I've gotten so many calls today wanting to know where we were going to be. And I said, it's outside, it's on the patio. For those that have never been on that patio, it is huge. It's enough space for several hundred people.
That's
so
it's huge. It's huge.
Yes, it's huge. 2 big stages there. They have a huge TV screen that is as large as the stage. They put that out a week ago or so just to test it out, plus the 3 big screens that they have. So we are going to have a really great time. We're going to check off your candidates. If your candidates win or lose, at the end, the next day, we're going to have to come together and love on one another and
Yes,
bring our
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That's a good word.
yes, a lot of people, a lot of my friends, we didn't go down the same ballot. We didn't vote for the same people. And I'm okay with that. And I just know for me, I'm not going to lose friends over politics at all. So I know my best buddies, we didn't all vote for the same people, and it's okay. And we chat about that quite often. And, I'm just excited about tomorrow. And again, Organized Florida partnered with us, Black Business Bus Tour, our Tea and Conversation group, on the official watch party in the city of Tampa tomorrow evening, 6:45 until we're tired. Uh, until we're tired. So we're excited about it, and any and everybody can come uh, to the event. Just like Tea and Conversation, we have all parties that are usually there, and everybody's welcome. If you want any more information, you can give me a call. It's on the flyer, or you can also follow us on Facebook. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That's 2302 East 7th Avenue, Ybor City, Al's Finger licking good soul food. The food that I had this weekend was very good. Um, and so thank you for all you do, Candy. It's your event. Honestly, it was such a good energy, and I love what you ended with, the fact that despite our differences, whoever we support, don't support, we got to try to bring unity to each other as a country.
Yes.
We're good. That's a patriotic, great thing to do as a citizen, to try to get along with our fellow citizens despite differences that we have. I think that your venue, or your event, is very conducive to that, bringing people together and just having conversation and breaking bread. Thanks for joining me this evening, Candy, and have a much successful, great gathering tomorrow.
All right. Thank you so much, Haiti. Take care of yourself. Stay
You
safe.
too. I will. You too, Candy. You too. Okay, and so now I am bringing on my friend Dan, my two friends, April Griffin, who seems to be. Are you okay there, April? How are you, my friend Dan? You must be exhausted. You're nonstop. You're like the Terminator.
Well, we don't stop till tomorrow, so
You
that's what we
know,
do.
you are. I just wanted to. Somebody says there's a serious echo when I talk. So it must be me. I don't know what's going on. Thanks for bringing that to my attention, Kim. Hold on. Let me see why that's occurring. I have no idea. I have no idea. I hate for this to be happening right now. So. Yeah, that. I wonder why that is happening.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, hold on a second, because they're saying that I have an echo on. Hold on a second.
Katie, can you hear me?
Probably that's why. That's why. Okay, so can somebody confirm to me, please? Maybe I may have resolved the issue. I'm so sorry that I had to have the echoiness while I had the interview with or with the announcement for Candy Lowe's event. Candy was fine. Can someone give me like send me a message if I still sound echoey? I think I resolved the issue, but could somebody, Kim, can you send me another message? Huh? It sounds good.
Yeah.
I now I know what happened, and oh, I feel horrible now that happened while I was talking to Candy.
Can you hear me?
Okay, Candy, yes, I can hear you fine. Thank you,
Okay.
Candy. Thank you so much, Candy. And I'm sorry that I was echoey during our portion of the announcement for your event tomorrow. And again, I'm just gonna go ahead and I know what it was. I fixed it. Thank you guys for bringing it to my attention. Again, tomorrow, watch party November 3rd at on the patio with Candy Lowe. The event is that I attended this weekend was amazing. Al's Finger Licking Good Soul Food, 2302 East 7th Avenue, Ybor City. It starts at 6:45 until there's a question mark on that, till they're tired, till they drop. Free food, bring your own I think that's beer, small coolers, live DJ. It's amazing. They have an amazing setup. So I'm sorry, Candy, about the echo. Okay, thank you for those of you who have joined us. Good evening, Haiti Oropesa with Florida You Judge, and I am so happy to have two good people on with me tonight. And congratulations, Dan, because this man, I don't know, April, if you had an opportunity to speak to Dan before, meet him.
We've spoken, yes.
Yep.
Okay. This gentleman's just out of control, like amazing. I want to talk about your transition, your evolution, Dan, because I met him around 2014, 2015. I undertook to do a judicial survey out here, and he was a member of a very respectable association out here. That's very respected, Clearwater Bar Association. I remember when I undertook, I was a virtual, somewhat of a lawyer, but kind of minded my own business, just paid attention to things that pertain to me, not really involved, engaged like I am now. That changed around that time. I thought I'd do a judicial survey. And when I sent out ballots, or not ballots, but in emails inviting local attorneys for the first time to in a lot of years, because they did have a survey a long time before myself wanting to reinstitute it here locally. Dan probably thought that I was crazy. That's the feeling that I got. And he was, yes?
No, I don't think crazy, but it was the unknown. It was just like anything when you make decisions without knowing, sometimes you don't make a complete decision, or you don't make a decision based on all the facts. So it would have done a little if we had known each other back then. I think things would have been different. So,
but you know what, I do rock the boat, and I just came out of nowhere here locally, and I think some people were like, didn't know how to take me. Who is she? What is she doing? But listen, we had
You know what I love, if I could interrupt, you know what I love about this though? It's so much, oh, don't do that. It's always so much more interesting when I like relationships that evolve like that though, because you don't always have to agree with everybody. Then you're operating in an echo chamber. And I love those relationships that evolve and you have those times where you really strongly disagree with one another, but then you can come to that common ground. That's pretty cool.
It is very cool. Dan was very conservative. I think maybe he can correct me, but you were a lifelong Republican. You know who I want to read?
I was a Republican. I couldn't say ever conservative, but
okay. But for your whole life,
moderate.
Yes.
Okay, I want to read something. Josh Chilson, who I love a lot too. He sent me the letter telling me, no, there will be we're not going to do the survey. We'll review it, revisit that. But he probably also, I can't speak for him, but he might have also thought, like, who is this woman? What is she trying to do? He's a good man. Josh, I had the opportunity to later on get to know him. And I wanted to, of all the congratulatory posts that you received today for being featured on the New York Times, it's the title, the headline is "In a Swing County, in a Swing State, the verdict is in. It's going to be close." And they talked about you a lot. What is it that you created? A Pinellas County Jeep Club. You created a
No, I created the League of Jeepers.
What's it called?
League of Jeepers.
League of Jeepers.
So
Tell us about it.
I came from the Justice League, so the idea of that. So.
Got it. And you called, what is the name of your Jeep?
Prometheus.
And why did you call your Jeep Prometheus?
Well, Prometheus was the son of the god of law, and so, but also the savior of man and that kind of stuff. And I wanted to make sure that I was going to be, I'm not a savior of anybody, but I wanted to make sure that I was making an impact on my community. And I felt that that was fitting for being an attorney and also my commitment to the community. So
talk to us about what made you transform from a maybe not conservative, but a lifelong Republican to a Democrat all of a sudden?
Well,
What are the issues that we're currently seeing that you, at some point, you decided to break away from the Republican Party and become a Democrat?
Yes. So I had considered myself to be the socially liberal, fiscally conservative Republican. I felt like guns were important, but I was still pro-choice, very socially liberal. I had gay friends. I had, multinational friends and immigrants and all that kind of stuff. So from the social side, I always felt liberal. And it's never been there's never been one side that I felt I agreed with completely. But in our state, you have to be a member of a party if you want to vote in a party primary. So I figured, well, I'll stay Republican because I felt like I at least leaned in that direction. But when it came down to voting, I pretty much voted down, the ballots in the past. And so what changed is just my experiences with people. And so, as an attorney, you meet all kinds of people from all walks of life, and you have to hear their stories and you listen. And I have, a really good friend from Guatemala. Josh is somewhat liberal. I have other friends. And so it's just, the reality of being exposed to those ideas and that thought, and not just watching Fox News, you start to broaden your information base. So,
were you like a Fox News watcher that was the only channel?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, that's what, not necessarily growing up, but as an adult, when my parents would watch the news, it was Fox News. And when I went over to their house, we watched Fox News. And so it was just, that was, I remember I used to have a thing, from South Park, my little comment on Facebook was, Democrats piss me off. And it was just that mentality. It was that us versus them. Like, you're either red or you're blue. And if you're blue, then you guys piss me off and you guys, want to destroy. I mean, was
that you, Dan? Was that you?
What's that?
Was that you?
What?
Did you had that mentality that Dems pissed you off?
Yeah, because I just thought they were out of their mind, because you believe what you believe what you think is accurate. And so when, even the talk about, I mean, obviously, even, during Obama's presidency or his campaigns, there's always the talk about socialism and all that stuff. And I would say I bought into that realm. I'm like, I don't want to live in a socialist country. I don't want to live like this. And so you buy into what they tell you instead of, maybe it was a maturing issue, but it was more or less just actually listening to the other side and listening to other experiences.
Is that, you know what? That's why I like a lot what Candy Lowe's events, because another thing, bringing people together so that we can talk to each other and hear about each other and our different experiences. That's what makes you start thinking and seeing things. Okay. Not just hearing it filtered through channels, outlets that might have an agenda biased towards a particular party. But interestingly, April Griffin, she was a lifelong Democrat and she just switched to NPA. I did too. I was a lifelong Republican. I switched to NPA. So the article, Dan, says that some of the systemic racism that brought about the killing of George Floyd, that made you start thinking about your party affiliation.
Well, it's, and it's a lot of this started when I started running judicial campaigns, because when you run a judicial campaign, you have to run as a nonpartisan. So you have to play in both pools. You can't just focus on one group. You need votes from both people, because when people walk into that booth, they don't know your party affiliation.
Right.
So
that's what happened to me, because as a countywide elected school board member, I was nonpartisan. I was a Democrat. I was a registered Democrat, but I was a nonpartisan candidate. And when you represent the whole county, you do get a really broad perspective on what people's issues are, what the needs of the community are. And there are some very vast differences in just thought processes in the parts of town in Hillsborough County.
Mm-hmm. and just with and with individual people's experience. And so
Mhm.
I tell everybody, one of the most powerful things that I participated in was the race and politics with the Delta Sigma Theta Coffee in Common events down in St. Pete. And the reality is, like, I don't have a venue in my life or an outlet where I can listen to what Black women have to say, like, in person. And I probably spent, between 5 or 6 different events, 8 to 10 hours listening and discussing, like, race and politics with lots of different women. I mean, it's most because it was League of Women Voters, and then it was the Delta Sigma. That you can't listen to people tell their stories about crosses being burned, about all these different things, and the conversations that they have with their children. You can't leave those conversations and still think
Right.
that the world is not perfect, but that this racism doesn't exist, or that it's not that big of a problem. And you see the effect on people's lives too.
So let me ask you a question. So I remember the first campaign that you ran. I was there trying to help that candidate. Then Judge Miriam Irizarry, and it was your first campaign. And you know what? A lot of people, I'm sure, were thinking that her opponent was going to win. And so you did a masterful job. And then subsequent to that campaign, you did 2 more, Dave Ellis, and then just more recently, Evan Freeman, which I was in somewhat involved in that campaign. I tried to help him win in 2018. You're phenomenal. You've become quite the rock star here in terms of not just doing. You're just very, very talented at managing a campaign. But did that begin because, as you said, having to work in both pools because it's a nonpartisan race, so you have to try to appeal to both parties and attend forums which are both Republican and Democrat. You're just trying to reach.
Not only that, but
everyone. So is that what opened your eyes when you started hearing from other forums that maybe you wouldn't have attended as a Republican?
Well, and honestly, I wasn't even that political before I got involved. Like, I was a Republican, but I didn't attend meetings. I'd never been to a party meeting. I think I attended a young Republican meeting when I was at law school, and I had a sign for George W. Like, that was about the extent of my political activity up until Miriam asked me to run her campaign. And so, but it was the, and it's not only, but it's like going to the diversity chamber events. It's getting outside your comfort zone and interacting with people in a meaningful way too, not just like attending something and then, leaving, but actually, understanding what's going on. And it doesn't happen once, like, you can't just go to an event and now all of a sudden you understand what it's like to be a Black person. But it's that continuing conversation that you have with multiple people over years, and the friendships that I've made because of that and other things. And you hear, I mean, I know it seems stupid, but when you live in a white bubble, where I went to Seminole High School, like, we didn't bus students into Seminole High School. I still had Black friends my whole life, but it was like one, because there were very few people of color within my life. And when you live in Clearwater, or you live in Oldsmar, or the north part of this county, it's easy, like, to go from your little house to your job if you're an attorney. And, if you're a small firm, you don't have a diverse workforce. And if most of my clients come from a white base, I'm not going to have those natural engagements on a meaningful level. And so, thankfully, I mean, I really, I don't know where my life would be or how I would feel if Miriam didn't ask me to run that campaign. I had no clue what I was doing, but it was the springboard for me to get more involved in my community and in politics and mold who I am today. So,
an incredible transformation for sure. I saw you somewhat before the first campaign that you ran, and then after, it's like, wow. You just completely metamorphosed into this beast.
Well, that's because I lost weight, but
that was another good thing. We're gonna have a show about that, and but I want everyone to see Prometheus, and your club has grown to 70 members. So you have to have
well, because of the article, we're up to like 90 something, almost. I think we've hit 100.
Oh wow!
So
do you have to have a So there's Prometheus, the Jeep, and so it's suited up the Jeep with un-American flag. There's no secret about who you're supporting in this presidential election. An LGBTQ flag, one Black Lives Matter. You are. I am very proud of you. I am very proud that we collided. That at some point we didn't know each other. I kind of started venturing into having some accountability over the judiciary. I somewhat kind of met you through electronic exchanges, but then who knows? It was destiny.
Yeah.
Miriam, God, destiny had your calling set up where you didn't even know it. You were just doing something to help a friend, and then boom, look at the passion now that you have. And your friend, our friend, he says he's like a brother to you, Josh Chilson. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna share it because I think I enjoyed his post talking about. Let me see how that goes. Yeah, I want to read this because Dan's a real good guy too. This is what he said. My best friend, Dan Parri, more like a brother actually, made the New York Times today. So proud of him. He's never seen a wrong he couldn't right. And that's so true, Dan, about you. You're so zealous about
justice.
This. So that's the truth. I see you behind the scenes. This is not something this isn't about you. This is about you trying to make a difference in this world. And for that, I love you, Dan, in your soul. Coincidentally, up until a few years ago, he was a lifelong Republican until he got to the point where he could no longer be a member of a political party that supported and enabled a hate-filled, incompetent president who spread hate, division, racism, misogyny, misinformation, and anti-democratic acts to stay in power. With Dan's hard work, I'm hopeful that the swingiest of swing counties, Pinellas, in the swingiest of swing states, Florida, will turn blue tomorrow. Get out and vote tomorrow, people, so we can bring back decency and our common humanity to our country. This is a swing state. This is a state that who knows. It says the verdict is in. It's going to be close. Who do you think is going to win Florida?
I don't even know. I am praying that it's Biden and Harris. I mean, I pray. I mean, I really pray for the soul of our state and our country. And, I don't say that lightly. And as an attorney, we have a little bit better understanding of law and order and democracy. And, we have to take constitutional law, and many people take multiple courses in it. And I've had conversations with people that I have a lot of respect for and some of the most intelligent people I've ever met. And they all feel the same way, like the danger to democracy. This is not just this is not politics for me. I'm not sure I care as much about what Biden has to say or not say. It's about the future of our country as the American democracy as we know it.
It wasn't rough. It's been a long time coming, me thinking about switching, walking away from the Republican Party. And I got to tell you, some of the last couple of months and the things I've seen and heard did it for me. And I felt liberated when I did it. April did it the same thing. You want to weigh in? I know right now the numbers, according to this article that you were featured in the New York Times, in a swing county, in a swing state, the verdict is in. It's going to be close. I'm going to let you then kind of weigh in, April. I'm going to look up the article. I want to show those who are viewing the article so that they look it up and read it. It's a good article, but they said that right now there are 256,000 registered Democrats in Pinellas and 252,000 Republicans. So there's so more Democrats in Pinellas. Did that change suddenly, or was it like kind of the same close? There was a time.
It's changed over the last couple of years. I believe in 2018 there were more Republicans, so the Democrats have eked out that edge as far as
how many NPAs are there?
It's about 100
NPAs.
Are you seeing that number grow?
I don't know. I think it probably has. I think all the numbers have. I mean, voter registration in general has gone up tremendously. But the reality is most of the registration drives are done by party affiliated people too. So they're targeting people more that in neighborhoods that are probably more likely to be Democrats or Republicans as well. And so, yeah. But MPAs will always, and the issue when you're looking at elections is
You can't vote in the primary.
less likely to vote,
Well, you can't vote in the primary either, because by the time the general election comes, the decision is already made. But I feel like that's what's happening anyway, is that both extremes of both parties are pushing agendas, and I've always found myself, like you, Dan, in the middle. And it's not just the Republicans who look at Democrats and think that they're the ones that have created all of this mess. The Democrats do the same thing. So you hear the same language in reverse on the Democratic side too. So each party is looking at the other and blaming the other for all of the problems, but people aren't coming to the table. And it used to be people were considered statesmen or women when they were able to reach across the aisles and solve the citizens of this country's problems at a local level, at a state and a national level. I just found that people are so ingrained in the party and the fight. And what I've come to learn is that there is no Democratic establishment. There is no Republican establishment. There is a money establishment. It's all driven by people in power who are exchanging dollars in one way or another at the very top of the pyramid. So,
do you agree, Dan, that there's no perfect party? I mean, both of them have problems.
Oh yeah, of course. And I mean, for me, this election is not as much about politics. Like, it's not about, it's about me.
Wait. All right. That was you, April. Sorry, I muted you momentarily. Okay, go.
So it's a matter of just the decency, the stuff that Trump has removed from, political discourse. Like, and I agree, like with what April, like the part from both parties, like if you, in their primaries, what happens is in the Democratic Party primary, the people say, look, you talked to Republicans twice, so you can't be a good Democrat. And the Republicans do the same thing. Oh, you reached over across, you're not conservative enough. So from the primary perspective, they both have their problems, and you end up with some extreme candidates many times. And it becomes hard. Like, it becomes hard to choose a candidate because you have one that, let's just say gives everybody money, would be the idea of the Democrats. And then the Republicans are, I look at it as like, if there's a lifeboat in supplies for, like, let's just say 20 people, Republicans, in my mind, would allow 5 people to be on that boat because they want to make sure they have enough for 4 lifetimes. The Democrats, on the other hand, will allow 500 people on that boat, and it may sink because they have no supplies for everybody. And you got to find something in the middle. And that's the problem, is like there's nobody talking anymore. And I don't necessarily, but that's not why I got so involved this time. I got so involved because, like I said, I am fearful that our process of government is at stake in this election.
And you know what? Both of them, when a member of their party does something wrong, they don't say anything, but they'll judge the other party. That's another thing that I'm sick of. They both should be accountable and should be accountable to the people. And when a member of their party does something wrong, they should call it out and not consider it betrayal of a party member.
Well, and I've admitted it on Facebook. I've admitted it in person. Like, I voted for Donald Trump in 2016. I was not a political person. I was so sick and tired of just what April described, the establishment of these parties being so polarizing. And so you thought, well, let's get somebody in here who's not a politician. Like, how bad could it be? Like, that was what I and a lot of people thought. I didn't know, really. I didn't pay that much attention. I knew he wasn't the best person in the world, but the reality is Republicans did a really good job of demonizing Hillary Clinton. She probably didn't help herself with certain aspects in the party and all that kind of stuff. And I said, life has never been that bad under any president, regardless of what party. I'm a Republican. I'll just begrudgingly vote for him. It wasn't my first or second choice, but at least he wasn't Hillary Clinton at the time.
I think. Do you think?
Can I ask you a question about that? I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, because that really is, it's an interesting topic. Why was Hillary Clinton such a negative in your opinion?
Oh, because I watch Fox News. I mean, that's probably the easiest way to, I got most of my news source from watching Fox News. So, and most of my friends were Republicans. So.
You have a new fan, Kimberly DeFalco. Learn more about you, Dan. Listen, this is what I want. Do you think it's a good thing if we appeal to our fellow citizens to no longer just vote down the ballot or vote red or blue? But as an NPA, I feel good. I feel like I am going to reward with my vote. And I hope that ballot proposal that regardless of what party you're a member of, you can vote in primaries. I hope that passes. I voted for that. I want to be able to have healthy electorate that just doesn't vote down the ballot blindly and just says, oh, I'm red, I'll vote red. But really vet candidates. And if they're doing good, if they have a good past record, and they're involved in their community and they do good, there's tangible, measurable proof that they're going to be good to serve, then that's how we should vote. Shouldn't we appeal to our citizens?
Normally I would say yes. But as I've gotten involved in these parties, like I've seen the local Republican Party become essentially the Trump party. So when I got involved in 2018, that was the mid-year, the midterm election. And every time you go to a Republican meeting, they would want to ask the judicial candidates, who do you support, Trump, or you support, or whatever? Did you vote for Trump? Did you vote for Trump? The Republican Party begrudgingly supported Trump in 2016. By 2018, the people who are active, and I'm not saying every Republican, but the people who went to meetings, it became who is the most Trumpy candidate. That was the person who won those primaries. And it kind of has worked, if you noticed in the local, with Anna Paulina and George Buck and Amanda Mackey, that race to see who was going to run against Charlie Crist was the race to say who can support the Trump agenda the most. And even at a school board level and at some of these other levels, they've become like, I'm going to carry on the Trump agenda, and it's made it really difficult because of my personal feelings about how I feel that Trump behaves and how he bullies people.
So do you think now the trend, there's a lot of articles out there now where it says that the voters are switching to NPA, that's a trend now. So do you think that more people should switch to NPA so that they won't know how to reach us, thinking that we're going to be receptive to a particular message because we're affiliated with a particular party?
Well, I can tell you my experience. So my intention was to be an NPA. When I left the Republican Party, I had no intention of becoming a Democrat. I left the Republican Party to become an NPA. And then coronavirus started happening and other stuff. And it soon became obvious that there was no way in hell I was going to vote for Donald Trump. So I said, all right, well, I guess I'll become a Democrat. And I became a Democrat in February. So it was a little bit before Corona. And I figured, I need to at least have some choice. If I'm not going to vote for Trump, I need to have at least a voice into who's going to be his opponent. And then coronavirus. And at this point, I don't ever see myself ever returning to the Republican Party. And part of that is, so I also helped a little bit in the Clearwater city elections. And I listened to every single one of those Republican candidates get up and say they didn't believe that climate change was caused by humans. They don't believe in this, they're all, most of them are anti-maskers and the systemic racism. Like those are the three things that, and obviously gay marriage and and being pro-choice. And so the Republican Party has essentially become, in my opinion, the party of forcing women to have children, denying the coronavirus and unfettered use of guns. Like those are the things that they stand up for the most. And I actually care about people. And I just don't see that empathy or caring out of the Republican Party. So,
April?
The problem with not voting up and down the ticket is this, and I understand the logic behind it. You can't really know who your candidate is unless they've served, because we live in a world where politics has become this game of who has the most money to spend, who can be the ugliest, who has control of the media. At this stage in the game, facts, and it happened under the Trump administration. And I'm a person who believes in facts, and they don't matter anymore. Right now, journalism is you, and people like you because it's throwing spaghetti against a wall and seeing if something sticks. And if you say it enough times, then it becomes the truth. So it's really hard for good candidates to get their message out there. That's why the party system does help people, because you can at least get in front of the people who are interested during the primary, the activists, the active people who are getting their family and their friends to vote on either side. And going down the ticket, if you don't know your candidate and what they stand for, then at least you can maybe have some sort of understanding of what they stand for with, all of those issues that Dan spoke of, because they wouldn't have gotten through the primary otherwise. I mean, in a best case scenario, the best case scenario doesn't always play out.
and the people who are, the people who are involved are your most vocal people.
Correct.
That's the reality. The people who, they're not the average, most Republicans and most Democrats are somewhere in the middle. Like, they lean to the left, they lean to the right, but they all agree that both sides have good ideas. But when you get into that room and you get up and give a presentation to a group of Republicans or a group of Democrats, if you hint as a Democrat that you're not against like assault rifles or the banning of stuff, then they're probably going to dismiss you as a candidate. If you want to have, and as a Republican, if you have the notion of some sort of responsible gun ownership, you're out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
there's no middle ground.
Yeah. And that becomes a real problem.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead. We're going to wrap up. Thanks for joining me, both of you. Congratulations again, Dan, on the article. You got your first New York Times. There'll be more, I'm sure.
Well, and let me just say, so I just want to, so I had, we had our rally yesterday in Palm Harbor. And a lady came up to me and said that she almost got rid of her Jeep. And she was a member of a Jeep club up in Hudson or in Pasco County, whatever. And she may have actually served in the military, because a lot of the members of that group served. And she's probably around a 60-year-old lesbian. And she said that she almost got rid of her Jeep because she didn't feel like she had a community that she could go and hang out with, because they were so Trump, they all supported Trump. They all had the Blue Lives Matter type flags, and they were doing all that kind of stuff. And she felt that she didn't have a Jeep community to be a part of. And she was so happy that she was able to join the Jeep Club and will be able to participate with us in the future. So, and that's really the point of this. I didn't do it to try to make a, for me, the reality is I wanted to make sure that everybody who had a Jeep and wanted to participate in a community had a community to participate in.
That's cool, Dan. I'm very proud of you. Let me unmute April.
Can I ask you a question? And where are you from originally? Are you from Florida or where are you from?
I grew up in Seminole, so Seminole.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. You said that earlier. Have you heard of Trey Crowder?
Not
the liberal redneck. So my whole family's from Georgia, and I've always been in the middle, and I've always not been aligned. I was a Democrat when I was very young. And always argued politics with all my relatives in Georgia. And I just didn't fit in. And I'm a little bit too conservative for Democrats. because of the way I was raised. I hunt, I fish, we're outdoors people. I actually competition shoot. And it was this guy, Trey Crowder, he's a comedian. And if you Google the liberal redneck, I was like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I'm thinking and how I'm thinking. And it's almost like sometimes in certain communities, people might feel what we feel and think what we think and think outside the box and things like that. But they're kind of almost bullied into, and I know, Haiti, this is an issue that we've discussed as well, but they're almost bullied into following and towing that line of the Republican speak. And I think that contributes to what we're seeing. And I do believe, and I said this as a school board member, that our current president, Donald Trump, he encouraged that so much when he was on the campaign trail, the misogyny, making fun of people with disabilities, all of the different things that we knew about him before he was elected. And as a school board member, I was petrified about what was going to happen with our kids in schools if he was elected. And I will tell you that within weeks, I think it was his inauguration week, or the day of his inauguration or the day after, I got a phone call in one of our schools out in East Hillsborough County, which is very conservative. 3 young men with MAGA hats locked arms in the hallway, and a young man who was Hispanic was walking down the hall, and he was told, "You aren't getting by us, we're the wall." And that's that's the type of stuff that I've seen from my perspective in serving. And so, but I will say that it's almost like people are bullying each other into behaving a certain way on both sides of the aisles, or both sides of the aisle.
Yeah, that's true. And you know what? What we stand for is freedom.
Right.
Everybody needs to be free to, if you want to support, there shouldn't be no bullying or pressuring. That's bad. That's
look up Trey Crowder though.
Huh?
I said look up Trey Crowder though. I think you'd enjoy his sense of humor.
All right. Well, anyways, I'm glad that both of you were able to join me and kind of see each other on the screen and virtually. Good job, Dan. I'm very proud of you.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you feel you found your calling?
Huh?
I was asking Dan if he felt he has found his calling, aside from law.
Well, I had a conversation with someone so I'm 45. I don't have kids. The likelihood of me having kids is pretty small, so you start to think about your legacy. And so for me, it's just a matter of helping people, Yeah, I teared up, but
you know what? I want to hug you.
I want to make a difference.
And hug you. Oh my gosh, that touched me. I was like, is Dan is he getting choked up? You were.
And I have too many friends who are, whether they're gay, trans, black, Hispanic, whatever it is, and they're not free to live the same free life that I am. And until that's, until I know that my friends don't have to be called the N-word or the F word, and it's just because I've experienced all of these things, all of this white privilege that I've had. It goes out the window when you put a Black Lives Matter flag. People treat me or a rainbow flag. They say the same nasty things to me that they would have said to somebody else in that category. And those are the things that just push me. If
you've experienced that, Dan, with your Jeep, you've experienced getting called.
I had people yell at me, "Die faggot," because I had a rainbow flag out, and I know that people feel it. And then of course the next thing out of their mouth was Trump 2020. And so, that's the kind of stuff that when I hear that, I mean, I'm not personally offended because I'm not gay, but I know that somebody who is, that really, I mean, people, even when I was talking, I had said some stuff and people said, "We really need you to drive out to the Dunedin Causeway, because so many times in the Dunedin Causeway now, you have these Trumpers with these white pickup trucks or whatever pickup trucks with rebel flags, and they feel comfortable driving up and down the causeway. and people are intimidated,
And you know what? I'm gonna say this. One of the things with the wait, what the heck? With the there's people that are tone deaf, that they think that systemic racism, that was one of the issues that you decided you were gonna dip from. They think that doesn't exist anymore, and it does. And we see like real life moments now, currently in the 21st century, where it happens, and hate is out there. And so, yeah,
and we take a step back.
That's one of the reasons too. I'm like, I like you. I voted for Trump the first time around, and he could have kept some people that are leaving the party, but it's just who can, with a good conscience, who can tolerate some of the things that we've witnessed throughout the 4 years and even before, so anyway, but there's people that I love that do support him.
Well, and that's your previous guest said that, and I've had a harder time doing what your previous guest was talking about, as far as still getting along with people who support Trump. And maybe that's part of it, because I've been so involved in the trenches at the polls, doing these rallies, and just people yelling obscenities at me all the time. And not just me, like I can take it, but like at our rallies, we have grandparents, we have grandmothers, grandfathers, veterans, and they're calling them communist, baby killers, pedophiles. And those are the nice things they say. Like,
you know what, Dan? I know, Dan, but listen, we can't become like that. And that's in both parties. That's not just in the Republican Party. That's in the Democratic Party too. Both parties do it. They do.
They don't do what I see out there on the street.
I have seen ugliness from both parties, Dan. I have seen ugliness from both parties. I have. So it's a personal thing. It's a character thing. Either we're gonna rise above that and not react and not become like that. Of course it's infuriating. Of course you get angry. And you want to go tit for tat. But we gotta be better.
Well, it's not that. I do hear people are going ad hominem, and they're from both sides. I hear Democrats calling all Republicans racist, and I get it that if you are openly supporting somebody who is supporting that, then maybe you believe that too. But there's people who are supporting Trump for a lot of other reasons.
But people have taken out Biden's track record with support of a legislation during the Clinton presidency that resulted in the mass incarceration of Black men. Okay? And so no one walks on water. We're trying to pick the best or the less of the two evils. I know that there's some Democrats that have a hard time, and especially in the Black community. I have friends in the Black community that they don't like Biden either. They don't like Biden either. So, but despite that, we have to try it. I think one of the obligations, in addition to voting, becoming informed, serving the community, getting engaged in the community, we have to try to be an example of not acting like the thing that we loathe. If we loathe in the manner that Trump, the things that he does, making fun of somebody that's disabled, the misogyny, the insults, some of the things that we've seen, even in the first presidential debate, that they were asking him whether he would tell his supporters to remain calm even after tomorrow, and if it takes a while before the ultimate numbers come in. And he said, no, if it's fair. I mean, and that's not something you don't say if it's fair. You say, yes, calm. You don't want civil unrest and violence. Yet, hypocritically, when the Black community goes out to protest injustice, then they're looked at as, they're criticized for violence. And so there's a double standard. There's hypocrisy. We don't want to, however, act in a manner of a person that we are criticizing because of how they comport themselves as a president. April.
I
I don't know
agree
what that noise is,
wholeheartedly.
girl. We got to get that fixed by the next time that you.
The next time I come on.
Yeah. So
I actually have a mic. I need to hook it up. Sorry.
you did anything you want to add before we wrap up? We have 3 minutes. You, Dan.
Well, only thing I wanted to say is I hear a lot of people, they always ask, what's the party doing? What is this doing? What are we doing about this? And I think people need to take, a page from the Republican book about and I mean, it's not, but it's just, if you see a problem, you need to pick up a shovel or pick up a trash bag and help. Right. Instead of waiting for a party or waiting for a government or waiting for some other thing to do it, you have to just, and that's like, when we had a rally in Palm Harbor, people said, well, hey, is there any rallies in Newport Richie? Or, hey, how do we do, when are they going to do that? I'm like, the party didn't decide to have a rally at 19 in Nebraska every Saturday. That was my friend and I. We decided that we were going to start a rally and we were going to start inviting people. You can't wait for somebody else to do something. If you see an injustice or you see something that needs to be improved, people just need to pick up and pick up the phone and ask, how can I help? Instead of waiting.
That's very important. Very important.
And that's what you do too. I mean, that's what we're all doing. Nobody was paying you to even do the judicial poll, and you spent money doing that and you felt that it was something that was necessary. So you took that role on, and that's what we need to see more of, is not waiting for government to do stuff, but to just get out there and do something on your own.
Yeah, that's true. There has to be you have to set some time aside to get involved and to contribute. It's not, like I said, when I started, it was all about me. But you know what? I didn't find spiritual fulfillment. I thought life can't be just all about me. I have to contribute in some way. Okay, April, one last minute. You finish.
I'm just so impressed, Dan, with what you've done. And I asked you the question earlier, if you thought you had found your calling. I'm just going to wager that you have found your calling.
I think so too, Dan, for real.
Well, whatever I do, I've told people, and don't tell my clients, but I don't know that I'll be an attorney in 5 to 10 years from now.
Do you want to run for office?
No, I'll never run for office.
Me either.
And part of that is
I'm done.
I want my privacy. I want to be able to go to the dog park here in a few minutes and do whatever. I don't want to be on, because look, I've met a lot of great public officials. They're on all the time. Whatever it is, you have to be available. And I mean, because it doesn't matter if the state house pays $25,000 a year. You're expected to be available 80 hours a week for that job. And I feel like I can do more good outside of the government and outside of that structure than I can within that structure.
And I share that. And I've always, since I began getting involved.
I'm not a structure person either, so.
And engage. People tell me all the time, why don't you run for this? Why don't you run for that? You know what the beauty is? Why do I need to run for anything? I can do something without having to run. And you know what? Everybody has their thing. There's people that have a passion, and we need good leaders. We need good people to run for different offices, for sure. But I don't feel that passion. I don't feel that I don't want to do that. And you can serve without being elected. That's absolutely. There's people that are needed on the outside to keep the establishment, the powers that be, accountable. And that's not my calling. I know that for sure.
When you run, you become beholden, and that, like people said, with the money, especially money, there's so much money involved in politics that if people are willing to give you money, because you're only elected for that election, it's not like the Supreme Court. So most of the time when people get elected, their next concern is next
election.
And they know that they can't piss off those people that just gave them $1,000 a piece.
And so I want the freedom to piss people off.
Yes.
Well, I would love to see good people get into office and remain in office for the right reasons. That you hit the nail on the head. And my kryptonite was the fact that I'm not a good politician. And I did piss off those people that gave those $1,000.
Yeah, but you know what? Look, here's the thing, April. You say that you're done, and you know what? You might be done. You since the after the primary, when it didn't go your way, you said you're done, and you might be done. But who knows? You can never say that's it. You're done. You in a couple of years, who knows if you did good. You did good. I've had conversations with you. We have sat down. You're in the process of writing a book, I think, maybe. Yes.
Yes, I am.
Okay, and so there are things that you shared with me that I suspect will go into that book. And you know what? You did good. And sometimes when you do good and you go especially against the machine, there are going to be people that are going to get angry. I'm a person of faith. Me and Dan were talking about that today. Jesus, he's still all right with me, like the Doobie Brothers sing. And you know what? He pissed people off. He got people so pissed off that they crucified him.
So I just want to say thank you, Dan, though. I mean, this thing started about you, and we're talking about what you've done. And I hope that all of your work and your energy that you're putting into this election pays off tomorrow, because we can't have another 4 years.
Well, so if tomorrow Biden wins Florida and Biden wins the presidency, are you gonna go like? Are you gonna like pop a champagne bottle? Are you gonna like start doing
I don't know what I do, but I would definitely be thrilled. But I've also made peace with. I don't know if any of the efforts that I've made is ever going to turn into a single vote. I really don't know. But what I do know is that I've impacted people's lives, and I've had people tell me when they saw the Jeep that it made their day, that they were having a crappy day.
You're getting choked up again. When I see you next time, I'm gonna hug you hard. Yeah. Just so wait for it.
And at the end of the day, if look, I really want Biden and Harris to win. But if they don't, like, my efforts were not a failure, you know? Like,
you know what I like about what you just said, Dan, and which is beautiful. And you're a beautiful soul. You know what's awesome about what you said? That it doesn't matter about whether you win. Of course, you want to win. You're thinking you're playing for the team. Okay? You want to win, but you're saying even if that doesn't ultimately happen, you're looking at the service, what you did. That is of value. I touched another human being's life. That's what's valuable. It shouldn't be about, some people serve, but it's about them. It's about them. It's not even really about the people. It's about the perks, the status, and it's not about that. I'm sure there's people that do it for that reason, and they don't really give a rip about people. And they're in office. And it's about what they can get. Favors, connections, money. But what you said, that right there, that's it. At the end of the day, it's about people. It's about humanity. It's about making the community better. It's about making the system better, our country better. And we don't have the need to run for office to make that happen.
I don't need my name on a building, is what I tell people. Like, having my name on a building is not my legacy. It's helping other people that will in turn help other people. Like that's what I want my legacy to be.
And and that'll ripple through, and it'll make an impact.
You live on forever. That's how I live on forever. Like, we can't actually live forever, but our legacies can. And if I help somebody and they help somebody else and they help somebody else, we can live, beyond. So at least our spirit can.
Yeah. And when we meet our maker, we can hear a good job. Well done. Okay. Well, I'm going to wrap up. Thanks for those of you who joined us and who followed it or who will follow it even after this broadcast live has ended. Share, please. And I want to end with, again, Candy Lowe. Tomorrow she's having an election watch party on the patio of Al's Finger Licking Good Soul Food, 2302 East 7th Avenue, Ybor City. It starts at 6:45 until there's a question mark there. Here's the banner that we showed earlier. Let me go ahead and remove her comments so that you can see the flyer. It's a great venue. Go out there, interact with people, with your community, other members of the community. It's very important. As Dan was saying, it's about breaking bread, getting engaged, talking to each other, us talking to one another, us to learn more about one another and making our communities and our country better. Have a great evening, April. Proud of you again, Dan. Have a great evening, you too.
Thank you. Thank you both.